After falling to the Detroit Lions, the Ravens get set for a huge matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, with their run defense being improved after not a great showing against the Detroit Lions. We touch on that and more next on Ravens Talk.
Look, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk podcast. Follow us on Instagram, on YouTube for the broadcast. Say this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk podcast. Not old news, this is new news to the whole world where they ball at. Come and listen to the former writer for the Baltimore Sports Illustrated.
The Ravens lose to the Detroit Lions and fall to 1-2 after a tough matchup on Monday Night Football. Now they get ready for a huge matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, where the loser falls to 1-3 and their playoff hopes become in doubt. Welcome to Ravens Talk. I am your host, Samuel Njoku. We're going to touch on the Ravens versus Chiefs matchup. Big time matchup. These two teams haven't faced off since the first game of the 2024 season. Touch on what's going to happen in that contest, what things we need to look out for. I think Ravens fans have a pretty decent idea. We also have former Ravens tackle Michael Pierce to join the show, talk to us about his life after retirement, and if he's planning on coming back to help the purple and black. But first, let's talk about the Ravens versus Chiefs. These two teams are going to be going head to head. Hard time seeing this team muster up much of a fight if they fall to 1-3. One of these two teams, both with playoff aspirations, maybe even Super Bowl aspirations, but falling to 1-3 makes it a little difficult. More so for the Kansas City Chiefs, if anything, if we're going to be honest with it. The Chiefs have a tougher stretch of games. They have a tougher set of opponents in the division. The Broncos not looking so great, but the Chargers are looking fantastic. The Raiders are putting up a fight, so the AFC West isn't the pushovers it used to be. These teams are starting to come together. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman have really done a good job with Justin Herbert, and they're set to really take off in that division. So the Chiefs cannot afford to fall to 1-3. On the Ravens side, the Ravens do have the Steelers to worry about. They are 2-1 as well, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like the same person, and their defense is struggling very similar to what the Ravens are going to. The Bengals lose Joe Burrow. We don't know when he's going to come back. The likelihood of him returning this season is in question. And the Browns, who may have the best defense in all of football, are still finding ways to struggle on offense, even though they were able to pick up a huge victory against the Green Bay Packers. So the Ravens still have a shot to make the postseason if they fall to 1-3, but it's going to be a lot of chirping going on around social media, radios, wherever. My comment section and social media, it's going to be tough for the Ravens if they fall to 1-3. I'm not saying that their Super Bowl aspirations are totally dashed, but boy, you'd much rather be 2-2 in this situation than 1-3. Certainly, the Ravens are still trying to find out how to make this team better. Let's touch on the defense. Let's just start right away and get to it. The Ravens defense, the run defense especially, did not play well against the Detroit Lions. Now, some Ravens fans may not be too familiar with the NFC and the Detroit Lions, but man, that 1-2 combination with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is not to be slept on. So we need to understand that the Ravens are likely not going to fight against teams with those type of weaponries on the ground very much this season, but they still have to get the job done. They did not do so. There are lots of reasons for it. Some of the film that we've seen shows that they just got beat up. I mean, we saw them lose in the trenches in previous matchups in the playoffs. The Chiefs game in 2023, I think the Chiefs really beat them in the trenches. The divisional round in 2024, in the first half, the Bills really beat them in the trenches. It wasn't until the second half where the Ravens were able to wear down the Bills, and it was a little too late for them to come back, but we saw signs of improvement in that second half. But from the opening whistle to this last whistle blown at the end of that game on Monday Night Football against the Lions, Ravens were dominated. I mean, it was ugly. It wasn't just the first level of the defense. The second level, Roquan Smith did not look himself. Teddy Buchanan could only do so much. You could see that his smaller frame was preventing him from being much of an impact on those running downs, and it's going to be tough for the Ravens. Not to mention, Nnamdi Madubuike is currently dealing with a neck injury. We do not know what the neck injury even is. Based on the way that John Harbaugh is talking, him eluding reporters' questions, not hearing much from Nnamdi Madubuike or anyone in regards to what the injury entails, has fans concerned, and they probably should be. I'm not here to speculate much, but the longer we go without hearing anything tends to mean that this is going to be an issue that's not going to go away anytime soon. So prayers out to the Madubuike family, prayers out to those close to him inside the castle. Hopefully we hear good news soon, but The Ravens probably shouldn't be counting on Njoku BK returning anytime soon. And that run defense, at least initially, looks to be predicated on whether or not they have a force in the middle to help. Because I don't know, man. It looked rough out there. Travis Jones was double-teamed throughout the game. Didn't get much out of anyone else. Broderick Washington wasn't doing anything. John Jenkins, nobody there were able to really get there and penetrate. I mean, it was death by 1,000 cuts in some regards. The Lions did wear them down eventually, but it just seemed like the Ravens were uninterested in stopping the run. There are 20 missed tackles in that contest. That's not the front line. That's the linebackers. Those are the secondary out there. So Roquan Smith had a great game in week 2. Week 3, not so much. Hopefully he's able to bounce back. He'll need to bounce back against the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Ravens, again, will be in trouble. So good to see that the Ravens are getting back to it based on the videos we saw. It looks like they're focused, laser focused. They need to be into going to Arrowhead. The Ravens haven't won at Arrowhead since 2012. I believe Matt Castle was the quarterback. The Ravens won 9-6. They haven't won an Arrowhead since. So 13 years since the Ravens have won an Arrowhead. Could this be the day? And I know a lot of Ravens fans are a little hesitant to put their money on the Ravens because that was a thrashing. I know the Ravens only lost by 8 points, but it was very clear who the better team was in that contest, and it wasn't the Baltimore Ravens. Let's touch on the offense now. Lamar Jackson, looking like Lamar Jackson. Very great on the day. Still, sacked 7 times. Some of that's on the offensive line. Some of that's on Lamar Jackson. Some of that's on Todd Monken. I mean, holding on to the ball too long is something that Lamar Jackson does, but he's very good at escaping. We've seen sometimes he gets into trouble a lot of the division around when he fumbled the football, trying to make things happen instead of throwing the football away. Nobody's better at extending plays than Lamar Jackson. We've seen quarterbacks other than Lamar Jackson do it. Josh Allen does it on a routine basis. So it's not like it's all of the realm of possibility that Lamar makes those things happen, but he needs to be smarter with the football. The Lions did a great job of keeping a spy on him. And when the pocket collapsed, it was very clear Lamar Jackson was uncomfortable, doing his best to extend plays, waiting for somebody to get open. The Lions did a perfect job of containing Lamar Jackson. And that's the reason why the Ravens weren't able to put up 40 points. They still put up 30. Well, 30 is not in the sneeze at. Back in the day, the Ravens scored 30 points. It's a dub. But for whatever reason, the defense has yet to catch up to the high-powered offense of the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens will need to do a lot more. I'm trying my best not to compare it, but if you've seen me on other shows, you've seen me compare the Ravens of this year to the Bengals of last year. I mean, the Ravens statistically have a worse defense than the Cincinnati Bengals and have as good of an offense as the Bengals did last year. So not the worst comparison in the world. And the Ravens still have the talent to turn that around, something that the Bengals don't have. So we'll see what happens. A lot of this is on the shoulders of Zachary Orr, the second-year defensive coordinator. Last year, he got the benefit of the doubt. A lot of blame was put on the players, Eddie Jackson, Marcus Williams. That can't be the case this year. They got Kyle Hamilton healthy, Malachi Starks in the back end. We've got guys throughout the field. Jai Alexander, even though he hasn't practiced or played, I should say, in 2 games, still a force. CJ Tampa's done a good job. Chidobe Awuzie, pleasant surprise. The Ravens brought him in prior to the signing of Jai Alexander. Marlon Humphrey has been disappointing in coverage so far this year. Nate Wiggins has been okay. We've got some complaints from Ravens fans, but I think Nate Wiggins has played a decent game the last 3 contests. We'll see if he can improve upon himself and get better. Have high hopes for Nate Wiggins the rest of the way. 14 games remain. We'll see what happens, but this defense has the capabilities of getting it done. It's going to be up to Zachary Orr, a little bit of Chuck Pagano if he needs the help to get it together, because I think the first person who's going to receive blame isn't going to be a player on the field. It's going to be Zachary Orr, who has, again, had the benefit of the doubt for the last year and some change. Mike McDonald struggled early, got it together. We have yet to see them transform. We know the pass defense was improved in the second half of 2024, but they really, you talk about teams selling themselves to stop the run. The Ravens sold themselves to stop the pass a lot because they just could not defend the ball whatsoever for any reason at all. So we'll see what happens this time. Again, Zachary Orr, I think the leash is a little short. John Harbaugh doesn't like to fire guys midseason. Harbaugh, we know, if you're watching the show, you're a Ravens fan, probably a fanatic if you're watching my show. So you know that Harbaugh is loyal almost to a fault. It'll take a lot to get rid of Zachary Orr, but time's a wasting. Like we mentioned on previous shows, Super Bowl or bust. Head of the table is the first head that gets lobbed off. That'll be John Harbaugh, so I'm sure he's going to do whatever it takes to keep his job and get this team going in the right direction. Starts with Zachary Orr. We'll see what happens. When we come back, we mentioned it, we're going to have Michael Pierce, fan favorite who recently retired from the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to get on the show to talk about life after retirement, his thoughts on the Ravens. All things considered, seeing as how the Ravens have struggled recently on defense, does he have a plan to fix this Ravens defense? And maybe he's fixing the return himself. We'll touch on that here next on Ravens Talk. Welcome back to Ravens Talk. As we mentioned, we have a special guest, Mr. Michael Pierce, former Ravens tackle for the Ravens. You are one of the more, likable players that the fans have, and you are definitely one of them have the most memorable plays last year. So a big time appreciation for you to join us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yes, sir. So let's start about, what you've been doing. First of all, let's just ask the question. Will you be unretiring and returning to the Baltimore Ravens for us fans? Please.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so, man. I still work out on a daily basis. I don't run nearly as much as I should, especially if I was going to be playing in any game. So, they had to give me notice, and they wouldn't be able to call me till like December at the earliest, bro. So,
have you had any contact with the front office?
I think I'll be putting them cleats back on this year, brother.
Oh man, that's a shame. We would love to have you. Definitely much appreciated for your time with the Ravens. Your buddy Brent Urban returned to the team, took your number as well, a gesture. We know the bromance between you guys. Have you guys spoken? Talk about that friendship first and foremost. I don't think we ever got a good understanding about how close you guys are. Talk about you and Brent Urban for me.
Well, our wives are cool, man. It's a true brotherhood, man. I think Brent is 2 years older than I am. He came in when I came in there. He was just coming out of I think an injury-plagued year. So I think he tore his ACL his rookie year, and then he had another like small injury his second year. So Joe Cullen, who won a couple Super Bowls with the Eagles, he's a defensive coach at not the Eagles, excuse me. He won a couple Super Bowls with the Chiefs. He's with the Chiefs still. He kind of treated us both like rookies. Herb was still looking to prove himself, even though he was a pretty high draft choice. And then obviously myself coming in as an undrafted free agent. So he used to have us doing all this kind of like stuff after practice, just trying to drill things in our heads. Obviously me, I kind of played a big role coming in as a free agent. So I'm sure he was pretty nervous about just having me out there from, game to game and my role increasing. So that all worked out for the good. But we kind of just got close through that, man, just dealing with the hardships of having a coach, not necessarily being comfortable with you. I don't blame him a bit. We had Timmy Jernigan and Brandon Williams and Lawrence Guy. All those guys made a ton of money, right? So, we were kind of the two young boys who, need to prove themselves as the season went on. So we kind of got cool from there. Herb's a big foodie. Obviously, I was a 350-pound dude. I can definitely eat quite a bit. So now we bonded over that, man. We just kind of, got similar taste in music. Herb is a music head. Actually, we connected on like jazz. I'm super.
Really?
Yeah. Now he has a vast, selection of music that he listens to, from obviously your typical stuff from rock, but he like reggae. He's deeper in the rap bag than I am. Holmes can do country. Bro's a multifaceted individual. And as we've grown up, obviously, he has a family. I have a family. We start talking about investing and all this different kind of stuff. So, it's basically anytime you spend 8 to 9 hours with somebody each and every day, you travel with them. During the season, we see each other more than we see our families almost. So, it was always good to have him next to me. We always sat by each other in the film room and in meetings. So, and we worked out together. So, it just kind of happened that way. But as we grew, we started to have a lot of things in common. So,
that's awesome. I'm very jealous of seeing, the relationship that these players have with each other. Because again, you mentioned in the locker room, you're with each other more than you're with your family, which could be a gift and a curse depending on how you look at it. But you guys seem to make the most of it. Now, with the number being taken. Did he come to you first? Was it a surprise? How did that work out?
No, I didn't know anything really. They kind of gave it to him. So he actually played in 97. Oddly enough, that was the second number I wore as a Raven. But that's the number he wore last year, obviously. But no, that was given to him. So I don't know if it was Kaneko in the training room. Eric DeCosta did text me and tell me Herb doesn't fill out 58 quite as well as I did. But man, it was just a good little joke everybody laughed about. And I guess once preseason was over, that number opened up. So it was cool either way. I had a Brent Urban. I got honored the other day on Monday night. They made an Urban 58. I was gonna walk out in that, but it just so happened me change the number back. So that would have been cool too. So
yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate the gesture. I thought it was pretty cool when you first came into the team to this year to have that number. So that's a pretty dope thing. All right, let's talk about some Ravens football, because the Ravens run defense hasn't been up to snuff, and you are known for your run defense. Now the Ravens haven't had quite the exceptional play they had last year, but even when you guys were dominating in the run defense, I noticed when you were on the field as opposed to when you were not. Talk about what's going on with this Ravens defense and their struggles. Do you see some hope on the horizon? Is it a little too much, overanalyzing considering it's week 3? I want to get your thoughts.
So I would relate it to, our pass defense struggled mightily for maybe 7-8 weeks last year. And then it kind of evened out. So I would like to believe the same with the run game. Obviously, we got, new pieces like John Jenkins. We're going to have a lot of people just step up really, especially in the absence of Metabike. But we got to get Trent Simpson going. We got to get, I don't want to mispronounce his name. His last name Buchanan?
Yeah, Teddy Buchanan. Yep.
Yeah. So, run defense is never really about one person. You obviously can have people who stand out in certain areas, but it's really just about that front seven meshing and gelling together. We had a few injuries. Obviously, like I said, Metabike is a big part in that. But I also think we got to look at, I saw a couple clips of this dude on Instagram. I forget his name at the moment. He was oddly enough talking about Penei Sewell. But what I realized also was, obviously not to be overly critical, our personnel was not proper to be on the 1 yard line. So unless they get no huddle or anything like that, I don't know the game plan. I'm not sitting there in the film, but like I said, from me sitting up in the press box on Monday night, it just looked like we probably could have matched personnels a little differently. When they went 2 tight ends, that's a heavier formation. Those normally lend to run tendencies and those kind of things. I think we had nickel on the field quite a bit of times. But like I said, I don't know exactly the tendency numbers and all those things that, we may game plan. But I think that would have helped a little bit. But I think the numbers are definitely even out just as the season goes on. I can't see too many people running for those kind of numbers too often. Otherwise, heads may roll. But I like I said, I definitely believe we definitely had the guys to be able to get the job done. It's just, if we don't have that game in Buffalo, I don't think they would be taking it as hard. But you have those 2 performances, and then you start off with a slow start for a second year in a row. People start pressing that panic button and they forget we got 15 more games to play. So you never know.
Yeah, that's where my mindset is. Again, the Bills have a great run team. We know what the Lions have. They have a great run team. We talked about it before the season started. 6 games of strong contenders coming in to town, or the Ravens going over there to do battle. So yeah, I get it. Panic button is always going to be there because we have these high expectations for you guys every year. And I say you guys because once a Raven, always a Raven. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But great perspective with the personnel on the 1 yard line. I do think that the Lions tried to run a lot of hurry up to keep the personnel on the field. I think that they hear the announcers talk about that throughout the game. So, but good point on that front. I think the personnel will indeed mesh. And as you mentioned, it is a team effort with that front seven to stop the run. And I think the Ravens hopefully will get things together. Well, let's talk about a little bit about what your experience has been playing with the Ravens throughout your years here. Chiefs are coming up next. The Ravens are going to play the Chiefs. What is the mindset of players with games like this, especially a game against the Chiefs who unfortunately beat you guys in the 2023 AFC Championship game. You guys always have gone back and forth during the regular season. Big time quarterback. We talk about Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes, but you've played against Patrick Mahomes a few times. So Lamar doesn't see the field. You do when you go up against Patrick Mahomes. Tell me about that matchup and what the anticipation is like prior to the game.
I mean, it's just a heightened level of sensitivity, man. So, I mean, I guess I would relate it to like when people used to play the Patriots with Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and them winning all those dang Super Bowls. It's just, it's not even normal. It's not even intentional, right? You just know you're going in here, and if you don't play your best game, obviously they haven't had a good start, this year. But normally you go into KC or they come here, you don't play your best game, you're likely to be run out the stadium and embarrassed, right? There's all the eyes on that game for sure that Sunday, or especially if it's a night game or a featured game. But it's just a heightened level of sensitivity, man. And like I said, the dude is so talented. Like I said, I'm speaking in the past just because they had a rough start so far. But when they had Tyreek Hill, when they had Kareem Hunt going, or even when before Brody broke his leg. Jesus, what's his boy name? Number 10.
Pacheco.
Pacheco broke his leg. Them dudes were running, bro. And they had it literally, to me, it looked like the greatest show on turf, reminiscent of the Rams, if you remember those teams. So
Yes, sir.
nah, man, it was people everywhere. Travis Kelce was doing his thing. You'd see DeMarcus Robinson, who later came to the Ravens. He was wide open because everybody was scared of Tyreek Hill running all over the place. And they would just mix and match, and you never know if they're running the pass. And then when they do, they had a kid from Georgia who ran a reverse for a touchdown. It was like 70 yards. Super fast kid. He's been on their team.
Xavier Worthy? Oh, he said Georgia.
I forget his name. He was a really, really fast dude. I can't remember his name, but I think he probably hadn't been on their team for like the past 3 years or so. But it'll probably come to me as soon as I get off this podcast. Either way, they just had a whole Cole Hardman. There you go. Yep. See, you probably could have played.
Hey,
you could have been on the personnel staff. But yeah, now Cole Hardman, they just had so many guys, bro. And it stresses your defensive coordinators, it stresses you guys in so many different ways. Just because you can't really afford to get the running game going because their pass game was always on point. So if they had that going, it's a two-headed monster. It's a long day, and unfortunately, I've been on a part of those too. Yeah. So man, it's just a high level of sensitivity, just because of the history, and obviously we've always been really good, and so have they. And man, it's just like I said, it's not like a Steelers Ravens thing where you kind of do hate them people a little bit, but it's not the long standing history. Normally when we see them out, if it's outside the regular season, you assume somebody going to the Super Bowl. It just hadn't been us at the time. So
yeah,
man, it's just a heightened level of sensitivity. Obviously Coach Harbaugh is going to be on one, and I'm sure Andy Reid's going to be on one this week. So my wife was claiming she didn't really want to watch that one. I said, no, this is probably the one you're going to want to watch. So it should be some fireworks. Boys are going to play with some juice on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of Ravens fans are a little upset about that Lions loss, but as you get closer to Sunday, it's going to be both the fan base and the players. It's going to be crazy. I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting.
Everybody desperate. Them as well. So that should be a really good game to watch.
For sure. Now, I've had former players on here in the past, and they always talk about that hated rivalry with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you just mentioned it. What is it like when you get into the castle to play those Pittsburgh Steelers? Is it one of those things where you get used to it? Do they like grill into your head as soon as you become a Raven that, hey, we don't like those guys in gold and black. Make sure you're ready to go when again time comes. How does that work? I always wanted to know how that hatred manifests itself, especially when you're a new player.
I mean, yeah, you just introduced to it as soon as you walk into the building. So, those games are circled on the calendar, even though, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, and, they went to the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago. Something about Pittsburgh, and like I said, before we had Zoe and all those guys, Coach Dean Pease was my rookie year. He had like a special highlight film and just strictly Ravens and Pittsburgh highlights. Some good, some bad. And he would just keep playing it to the point where you get sick of the crap, right? So you got to deal with that twice, and God forbid they make it to the playoffs. And when I came in, Big Ben was still Big Ben. AB I think he sent us home on Christmas.
I remember
Touchdown.
that stretch.
I mean, we never heard the end of that. And then obviously, the things go on with Le'Veon Bell. And like I said, they had a really good O-line. It was, those were some trying times. But like I said, we won our fair share. Obviously, they did. I think the rivalry is kind of like split almost.
It's almost even, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really close. So, I mean, you just assume when the schedule, I'm assuming when, the powers that be, the people upstairs, you just assume you're probably going to split with the Steelers, right?
Yep.
You don't intend for that to happen as a player, but somehow the crap just ends up that way.
Last year, especially.
You might lose both of them next year. So you never know with those things. It's very, very much so a toss-up. It's kind of like when we play the Cleveland Browns. Most of the time, we know we should probably blow these people out, but somehow you just drop one and it's a head scratcher. So, man, that's definitely something you introduce to and you educate on history. You see, they played the sizzle, his ass. Oh, excuse my language. I don't know if I can curse on here.
You can go for it.
With the whole "his ass belongs to me" or something.
Yes.
All this other stuff. Yeah. So that played on a loop around the building for the longest. So being with the bloody nose and all that stuff, and then they actually showed Joe getting destroyed a couple times. So,
poor Joe.
Oddly enough, one of my favorite players was James Harrison. So I didn't really mind looking at it that much, but they'll Pittsburgh steal you to death, especially if you drop the first one. So that was always my thing. I was like, oh God, I just hope we win the first game. We'll deal with the next one later.
Yeah, didn't happen that way last year, so I'm sure you guys got an earful in the later contest and especially in the postseason where you guys got the dub. So much appreciated for you guys getting it done there. Want to talk one more time about your time, now this time prior to joining officially with the Ravens. I mean, it wasn't a certainty that you were going to be a Raven. You fought your tail off to get to this point. How was that process like? I know I've had family and friends who were Ravens and they weren't draft picks. They were undrafted coming in and fighting for a spot and they didn't make it, but you found a way to get in. What was that like for you? One, to fight for the spot, and then two, maybe not knowing until the last, minute mark of the deadline cut time to get that chance to be a Raven for sure.
I'm kind of going to be 100% honest with you. Some of this stuff is media.
Okay.
From what I was told, going into that fourth game, unless I did something very poorly, I kind of played my way onto the roster. But,
nice.
I put a stamp on it towards the end. But, man, no, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. It was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of man, I ain't going to lie to you, bro. I probably cried 2 or 3 times throughout the process just from a lack of opportunity, right? But
yeah,
it wasn't even the fact that they would treat me unfairly or anything. Like, I literally walked into a room, and I used this on another podcast, like everybody that played in front of me or I played next to or with, outside of one person, made upwards of $20, $30 million on their second deal, or even some of them third. So Timmy Jernigan, Lawrence Guy, obviously Brandon Williams stayed with us. The list can go on and on. Carl Davis was a 3rd-round pick by us. He's still playing to this day. Yeah. So obviously Herb played a long time. He done made quite a bit of money. But for me coming into a room like that, and we had drafted Willie Henry, who was a 3 technique out of Michigan, but theoretically he deserved more reps than I did. It was just, get in where you fit in. It was days where I would play 1 or 2 plays in a whole, camp practice. Wow. So even if you do well in those 1 or 2 plays, by the time they get to your practice field, they probably gonna skip over it, right? They're getting their guys prepared. So, like I said, God made a special way for me, man. Brandon had a baby, the first preseason game in Carolina.
I remember.
Paul actually rolled his ankle, and I found my way on the field, and I didn't really look back. But no, they did tell me they did not draft a nose guard in my draft. Supposedly, if they would have done so, it probably would have been myself, but for whatever reason, they chose not to. But they gave me a fair opportunity once I proved that I, deserved more snaps and more opportunities. But man, it was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of things, just wondering, like, man, am I cut out for this? Am I, gonna get my opportunities? Just a whole bunch of unknowns, and how you deal with that is, differs from person to person. But man, I definitely remember calling my dad and just be like, man, it's been 2 weeks and I've accumulated maybe 16 reps. This this might be the end of the road. And for a lot of people who I came in with, unfortunately, that was the end of the road. So it's just, like I said, it's a lot of patience, a lot of not knowing, a lot of anxiety, just because I felt like I had something I could show that could be of worth to somebody in some NFL team. But now I had some really good guys around me that kept me encouraged. My faith, my family, my friends, but also like Herb. And I can specifically say Brandon, Herb, and Lawrence Guy. They definitely kept me encouraged. It's like, dude, you can play. We don't know if it's going to be here, but as long as you keep your mind into it, by the time you get in the preseason game, whenever that is, if you don't, what I'm saying, they was pretty confident that I would make a difference to be able to be seen by somebody. So thankfully, I got to stay in Baltimore. But for most people, that story does not turn out very well. So
Right.
I'm grateful that it did for me.
I'm grateful as well. You pop out on film for sure, especially when you stop in the run. I mean, we miss you over there. I know you said you don't want to come back, but maybe get a couple of jogs in. I mean, we never know. Again, we're pretty banged up right now over there in Baltimore, but I know you're enjoying retirement. Let's talk about what you're doing right now outside of retirement. Probably not much, but just what's your mindset like now that you don't have that schedule of having to be prepared both mentally and physically?
Yeah, life looks a lot differently, man. I got to actually have a free schedule and just do a lot of different things. Interestingly enough, on Friday morning, I'll be speaking at Tulane Business School.
Nice.
Portfolio stuff and all those kind of things. I hadn't got the script yet, but no, man, I'm into investing. We kind of take it easy, man. I work out every day. I walk my dog. I walk with my wife. She's a pharmacist. Like I said, I kind of do some business stuff. My brother and I are probably going to start some real estate things probably back half of this year. We've been laying some groundwork. I had to go through a couple courses and whatnot online. But I'm more so into that kind of stuff now. I still talk to the boys all the time. Like I said, myself, Herb, Chris Wormley. Got a shout out to
Yes.
Wormley, the boys as well. Baltimore guy, obviously, draft pick. But now I talk to them about different things. But yeah, man, my focus now is just more so working on generational wealth, providing different things for my family, obviously giving back to my community. And like I said, I told myself I was going to give myself a year away from football, but I think I'm bored enough now that I'm going to entertain coaching. I actually talked to Coach Dennis Johnson about it on Monday. Prior to the game, we hadn't had a real conversation, but now I put out some feelers just to see maybe if I can, get myself in the door somewhere at a university, or maybe if, like I said, God willing, maybe I'll end up in the league. Who knows? But now I put in a couple fillers. I got some positive feedback, but obviously this year is going on. There's things going on, but probably this spring I'll definitely, if my wife approves, we'll definitely put our foot back in the game in some sort of fashion.
That's awesome. We got to talk after the filming because I have a track record in pharmacy too. So something that me and your wife have in common for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, that you guys are doing that. And I think that coaching would be great. I always say, if you can coach, I would strongly recommend it. It just seems like an awesome thing for players to do. And players turning into coaches, there's been a good track record with those guys making an impact in the league and in college as well. So definitely shout outs to you. And I think, I say go for it, man. If you got the time, you got the patience, and you got the approval from the missus, that's the most important thing, then definitely go for it. Well, I appreciate you for joining me, Mr. Michael Pierce. It's been an awesome talk with you. I'm just going to say one more time, maybe think about being a Raven just for a few more months. But, if you can't, I get it. I know fans would definitely love to see you. They love seeing you back in Baltimore for sure, even though the outcome of the game wasn't great. I saw the love that they showed you, and Baltimore's always a place that's going to take care of their players. So much appreciated for you for joining us, and hopefully we see you again soon.
Thank you for having me, brother. If it wasn't for the injuries, I would have honored the last year of my contract. But man, we didn't have enough injuries to.
I completely understand.
But no, it was a pleasure of you having me here, and obviously it's a pleasure to play in Baltimore, man. That's my second home. I'm super grateful for all the fans. I treat everybody like family. That might be a Southern thing with the hospitality and whatnot, but I truly, truly am grateful for my time there.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. I know you can't join, but just ribbing you a little bit. But I do appreciate you for joining the show. I'm sure fans appreciate you as well. When we come back, we'll close out the show and get ready for that Kansas City Chiefs versus Baltimore Ravens matchup here next on Ravens Talk. Welcome back to Ravens Talk. That was Michael Pierce. Exciting to have him on the show. He was a great guest and seems to be in tune with all things Ravens. Ravens are family. We talked about it throughout the show. The Ravens take very good care of their players, and guys like Michael Pierce certainly appreciate it. He was the player of the game, unfortunately, in a losing effort against the Detroit Lions, but we saw the love that the Ravens flock showed him, and he reciprocates that feeling towards Ravens flock. So definitely a pleasure to have him on the show. Hopefully we get him on again. He seems to be pretty chill, down-to-earth guy. Love to see that from Ravens players, and we'll see what happens because he has a great point. This Ravens team still has all the things they need to do to get things together. He talked about how stopping the run is a team effort. It's not just one guy. So even though Nani Madubuike will not play, it's already been confirmed that he's not going to play in this contest, there's still other guys on the team that can do what it takes to get to the running back. So Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, two guys that Ravens fans are very familiar with. It takes a team effort to contain them. So guys are going to have to get in those gaps. They're going to have to contain, do whatever it takes to stop the run game, because if you get the run game going with the Kansas City Chiefs, that's going to set up the play action. And if you get an effective play action with Pat Mahomes, not really known for your play action really like that, but still, that's a weapon that Pat Mahomes will exploit to the highest degree. So again, appreciate Mike Pierce for getting on the show. Let's close out the show with predictions on the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. Who wins? The Ravens 1-2. The Chiefs 1-2. One team will fall to 1-3. I'm taking the Ravens. I think that the Ravens are going to get the job done. They need to. They're clearly the better football team. The Chiefs aren't good. Let's start it right there. The Chiefs are not a good football team. Could they win this game? Yes. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got a shot. They got Andy Reid. They certainly have a shot. But I think the Ravens desperately need to get this win. One, against a team that they still consider to be a postseason threat. A team that could potentially be in the postseason. Maybe not as the division winner, but certainly as a wild card team. And getting the win in Arrowhead against Pat Mahomes will be the boost that this team needs morale-wise to continue on with the remainder of the season. A couple of games left on the schedule that are grueling tasks. The Houston Texans, not that great. Very similar to the Chiefs in some regards. And you got the Los Angeles Rams, who with Matthew Stafford could be a huge problem. So I think that the Ravens get the job done here. The spread is about 2.5 right now. I like those odds. I'd say that the Ravens win by about 3. Give me the Ravens winning this one 35-32. Ravens pick up the victory. That 32 looks like a weird number. Let's go 35-30. Ravens win by 5, setting up a 2-2 record for the Ravens as they head over to face the Houston Texans at home. Huge game. Ravens got to get this job done. They got to win. The Ravens cannot afford to fall on 1-3. I think the Chiefs aren't good, so I think the Ravens will pick up the victory, but only time will tell. That's going to do us for us here at Ravens Talk. Again, appreciate Michael Pierce for joining the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. The Ravens are 1-2 currently, cannot fall to 1-3. I think they pick up the victory against the Kansas City Chiefs. We will certainly find out either way. If they do pick up the win, it'll be a great, great day for Ravens fans. 2-2 sounds a whole lot better than 1-3. Regardless, we'll talk about it in the next episode here on Ravens Talk. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Illustrated, telling you what's going on. If you ain't like it, then you been a hater. New way to see stat lines and them highlights. It was innovative. It's the right place if you've been a player. This the Raven Talk.